right, for our next set of kitchen math equivalents, we are going to pretend that this rectangle represents a stick of butter. Now, if you've ever seen a stick of butter, you'll notice that there are lots of different markings on the stick of butter. Our sticks of butter, when you purchase them from the store, make life really, really easy when it comes to baking because it gives you all of the directions as to how to measure it, as to how much is in that stick of butter. So you don't necessarily need to even really know anything. You just have to be able to read that stick of butter. But we as a class are going to learn a couple of things when it comes to our butter math so that we can be a little bit smarter than our stick of butter and know some of this stuff without even having to look. And so if we are pretending that this is a stick of butter, the first thing that we're going to do is divide our stick of butter in half. So I'm just going to draw a line straight down the center there. So I have two pieces now. I am then going to take each of those halves and cut them in half. And then I'm going to take each of those halves and split them in half one more time. So I should have 8 even sections to this butter, which is the same thing that is true of a stick of butter. We have 8 tablespoons that comprise one whole stick of butter. Okay. And so if a recipe asked for a tablespoon or 2 tablespoons or 3 tablespoons, all I would need to do would be count out 1, 2, 3, and then cut on that line so I could measure out those individual tablespoons that I need. If a recipe happened to call for 8 tablespoons of butter, then I would put that entire stick of butter in there. However, usually on a recipe, if it's asking for the whole stick, it will either say 1 stick or it'll use our other equivalent, which is a certain amount of cups of butter. If we remember our equivalents from learning about cups and tablespoons, we've already learned that 8 tablespoons is equal to a half of a cup. And so we can say that 1 stick of butter is also equal to a half of a cup. So on a recipe, it might say that you need a half a cup of butter. And it's really important that you understand that that's a full stick and not half a stick. Because if we're putting in the incorrect amount, as we've already discussed, we might end up with a product that doesn't come out the way that we would expect it to. All right, so let's do one quick practice problem on this one. So if I have 2 sticks of butter, how many tablespoons do I have? And how many cups would that be? All right, so we have to remember that we are multiplying here. So 1 times 2. So for the first half of this problem, we have to do 8 times 2, which is 16, or 8 plus 8 is 16. And then we have to do a half times 2, or 1/2 plus 1/2, which would be 1 whole cup. So again, sometimes our recipe may ask us for a cup of butter, which means I would have to take 2 whole sticks and put them in my mixing bowl to be able to make that recipe.